All right, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to talk about some good things in boxing, the fantastic fight that should be coming up between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence, and what an expert that I talked to said about the fight, which was that, shockingly, Terence Crawford is going to get exposed by Shawn Porter. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to talk about Terence Crawford, Shawn Porter, and the fight that's coming, the fight that should be coming up. Before I get into the heat of the matter, which was the prediction that was made by an expert that's going to remain nameless, please subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Hit the like button, share the video. It helps grow the channel. Look, this is absolutely, a wonderful fight that is supposed to be coming up, and something that I'm very excited about, especially in the context of boxing right now, where there really isn't a lot of really good fights going on. And if you go through Twitter, if you go through like Instagram, and you listen to the attitude that people are having about boxing right now, it's just not really good. There's just a lot of stuff that either is not happening right, or is happening and should never happen, right? So, for example, Oscar Valdez in this very depressing steroid situation, right? Fights getting called off because of COVID, right? All of those type of things going on, but we have a fight in Terence Crawford and Shawn Porter that really is an exceptional fight at the welterweight division, and one that not a lot of people expected to happen, for various reasons. One of which is that, it is a fight that Terence Crawford absolutely positively can lose. Now, myself personally, I was upset with Terence Crawford, and I demoted him out of my top 10 pound for pound because of the way that he was talking about not fighting Errol Spence Jr., right? But the way that the welterweight division is washing out, I got to put my and I will call it my own personal bias to the side and say that Terence Crawford is the #1 pound for pound fighter in the world. He deserves it. He's a clean fighter. Nobody's ever, had any reason to believe that he's been on steroids. He's won divisions. He's won championships in multiple divisions at 135, at 140. He's been a long time reigning at 147, even though he hasn't fought the best competition. But, I would give him that status, especially considering what's going on with Canelo Alvarez. But my friend, who's an expert, who and I won't give their names. I won't give his name out because he doesn't want to put in the title of a video, very understandably, tells me that he is very confident that Shawn Porter is going to expose Terence Crawford, and he's going to expose what he believes to be, a lack of confidence on the part of Terence Crawford, and some real big physical, some technical flaws that Terence Crawford has that nobody talks about. Now, as far as the lack of confidence from Terence Crawford, I found that really interesting, because Terence Crawford, to me, appears to be a very confident fighter, somebody that is, when he's in the ring, knows exactly what he's doing. There's no reason why he shouldn't have, confidence in the ring. But this guy was pointing out the fact that, a lot of that they do believe for Terence Crawford is bravado, and that he knows that he is not fighting the best competition that's out there. So he's always fighting somebody who is a lower level fighter than him, so he can afford to be confident in that particular situation. But that when he gets in there with somebody that's going to be close to him, he believes that certain insecurities in Terence Crawford are going to take over. Now, I'm not sure exactly, what this guy has seen either in sparring, and I don't think he's seen a lot of sparring at Terence Crawford or whatever. But, I think that is a very real possibility, because of the fact that Terence Crawford, despite, and I'm giving him all the credit in the world, I get tired of being called a Terence Crawford hater, but because I tend to point out both sides of it. One, he's an excellent fighter, but at the other end, either by his own decisions, or the relationship that he has with Bob Arum, for some reason he's not been in with the best competition. And really and truly, you do get your confidence from beating the best fighters out there. So like at 135 pounds, the best fighter that was at 135 around the same time that Terence Crawford was, and this is no fault of Terence Crawford, was Adrien Broner. But yet he didn't get to fight Adrien Broner because Adrien Broner moved up weight classes. And I think also more than likely he would not have been able to fight Adrien Broner because of because of the split between Top Rank and the PBC. But that's not to say that many people would say, oh, that doesn't make sense because Adrien Broner, Terence Crawford would beat Adrien Broner easy. Look what happened, through the rest of Adrien Broner's career. But that doesn't necessarily mean that at 135, because at 135, he looked like he was the best guy there. And nobody was talking about Terence Crawford. Everybody was talking about Adrien Broner. If Terence Crawford had had the opportunity to come up by beating Adrien Broner, then maybe, according to this guy, maybe then he would have had he would have gotten that confidence by actually getting over the hurdle, so pointing out that there's a difference between, a guy, actually beating somebody, saying that you're better than somebody now after they've lost a lot, but versus you being the guy that actually beat them. So like Chino Maidana, Marcos Maidana got a lot of confidence out of actually being the first person to beat Adrien Broner, and he kicked that into a pretty decent fight, feeling confident about Floyd Mayweather Jr. And in sports, we know confidence is really everything. And so also like in the 140-pound division, Terence Crawford never really got the opportunity to beat the best at 140 because the best at 140 was Danny Garcia, and Danny Garcia started moving up around the time that Terence Crawford was coming into 140. Now, clearly Terence Crawford beat the best that was available to him, and he beat him in convincing fashion, but he never had the opportunity to really overcome the best guy that was there, who was Danny Garcia. So that was another missed opportunity. Not saying that this is a missed opportunity because Terence Crawford didn't want to fight, but just that he didn't get the opportunity to do it one way or the other, and actually to beat somebody that you would be favored to lose, you would not be favored to beat, is a big confidence booster that Terence Crawford has not had to date. Unlike guys like Errol Spence Jr., who's actually who's gone and fought the best guy at welterweight in Kell Brook and overcame him, and then actually got to go through a series of guys at 147 to build his confidence. So, the argument and then the other thing is that he's saying that because Terence Crawford has fought guys that aren't at the top level, he's been getting away with a lot of things. And this is something similar to what Derek James had said, which is that Terence Crawford relies upon a lot of athleticism, and that he's a good fighter, but he's not the most technically sound fighter in the world. And when you amp up your level of competition, that stuff starts coming out, especially when you're in there against very technically sound fighters. And I think that the argument is that Shawn Porter is one of those guys, because Shawn Porter can not only show, he can fight in multiple styles and frustrate, Terence Crawford. And, the thing is that Terence Crawford, has never fought a Shawn Porter, but Shawn Porter has fought several guys that, people consider to be in the same situation as Terence Crawford now, that being Errol Spence Jr. and Kell Brook and Keith Thurman. Now, he lost those fights, but all of those fights were close. And according to this line of thinking, that is enough to build and maintain the confidence of Shawn Porter just through the experience of having been in there. So, I'm really, really looking for this fight, especially, when you look out there on the horizon for boxing and there's really not a lot out there, and actually, man, I'm really hoping that people are right and that Terence Crawford can put forth a very good competition. For, Shawn Porter can put, a really good fight in with Terence Crawford, and we actually get to see something that's a really good fight inside the ring and not just a bunch of whatever stuff outside the ring, kind of like the Jake Paul fight. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section, and with that, I'm out. Peace.